Why you keep seeing 711 all the time. We're going to be going over the angel number 711, 711 in this video, what it represents, and some things you can do in response to this. Now, these are only going to be suggestions and the way I see this, the way I've interpreted it, and the things I do when I see this. But if they resonate with you, I definitely welcome you to bring them on board and to follow in the same manner that I do when I see these. So that's coming up next. Hi there, my name is Dave and this is HeartSpace if you're new to this channel, where we are creating videos almost every single day to help you live life more in your way. And we are, again, creating videos every single day on topics such as this, like angel numbers, things that are going to help you live more of a life of fulfillment, things that are going to put you more in your heart. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any of the content that we release. Now, we've done a lot of videos on different angel numbers, and we've already gone through all the repeating numbers from 0 to 9. And you can actually find a playlist on that if you want in the description down below. I'll link that playlist if you're seeing, for example, repeating numbers like 555, 333, anything like that. It'll have all of that. But since creating those videos, I've also been seeing many different combinations of numbers. And we covered one about a week ago where we went over 1010 or 1010. And one I've also been seeing a lot is 711. 7111, and I think this is another one that people see all of the time. And so I did some research on this one as I saw it to see what this represented and to see if it rang true in my life. And so I'm going to give you what it represented to me and how it appeared in my life and what it represented to me. Or what it aligned with in my life, and also what I do when I see this number, because it's one I've started seeing quite frequently. So let's get into it. So there's a few things this number can represent, but the main one I believe it represents is a reminder of your spiritual evolution. It is a reminder from your angels. Again, you can say spirit guides, the universe, God. We don't want to get caught up in the labeling of this, guys. Understand all of those, for the most part, represent the same thing. This is a higher being or your higher self giving you some messaging, indicating to you something that it wants you to know. And a lot of times they do it through numbers, because that's basically the language of the universe. Numbers, you can look so much into what they represent and how they have this universal value. You can take a look at that, different numerology things on your own time if you want after this video. But it's very interesting stuff, but they communicate in this way. So don't get too worked up about the terminology. You can say angels, universe, whatever. But when you're seeing this number, is typically them communicating that you should take a look more into your spiritual development, what you truly are. Because understand that your soul is here for a reason. You are a spiritual being in a human body. You are a divine co-creative being, and your soul is the driving force of your evolution. And when you're seeing this number a lot, it usually represents that you are actually moving more in the direction of allowing your soul to evolve. Your soul is always trying to do it. Every single person on the planet has their soul driving them towards certain things, but the issue is most people are not listening. For example, everyone has intuition. A lot of times people's intuitions will have them going in a certain direction, and that is their soul just trying to nudge them and push them to go in a certain direction or do a certain thing, quit that job they know is not in their heart, or go with that, be with that person, or just move down a different life path, whatever else it is. But most people don't listen to it. When you see this number, it usually represents that you have started listening to it, that you are starting to remember why you're actually here, who and what you truly are. And so if you're seeing this number a lot, be reminded again that you are a spiritual being in a human body and that you have a soul purpose, and to follow that soul purpose. And you wouldn't be getting this number if you haven't woken up to this at least a little bit. Maybe you're starting to just come out of the haze and you're starting to see things as they truly are. You're starting to awaken a little bit. Or maybe you've been on this journey for quite a while and you're very aware that you're a spiritual being in a human body. You have a soul purpose. Your soul is leading you in a specific direction. Either way, it can happen both ways. But you wouldn't even be on this video, in my eyes, if you haven't experienced that to at least some level. There hasn't been something that's been said to you that there's something more going on than you just living a temporary existence here in a physical form. And so this is a reminder to stay on the path that your soul is leading you down. It is a reminder, again, that you are first and foremost a spiritual being in a human body. This is the container which that you are in, that the stuff you are actually made up of what your soul's made up of, is occupying right now, but it is not what you are permanently. And so to continue listening to your soul, your intuition, and to move along the path that it is leading you down. And usually when you're seeing this number, it is not only a reminder of that, but it is also an indication that you are moving in the right direction, that you are starting to see this more and more, and to keep doing what you're doing. So another way I like to put this is this number represents that you are getting to a point of mind-heart coherence. You see, we have all of the tools we have for a reason. You know, there's nothing that's in our body or nothing that we have available to us that isn't there by design, that isn't useful in some way. You know, for the most part, you want your soul and your heart to be the driving force in your life, you know, to be the foundation of which direction you move towards in life, because that is your soul, that is your intuition, that is your heart, leading you in the direction that your soul, your highest self, actually wants you to move in, and which would be most beneficial to you on your spiritual journey. The fact of the matter is, most people instead ignore the heart and try and lead with the overthinking brain, overthinking mind. However, that doesn't mean the mind is not something that is incredibly useful and should be utilized. You know, it's the famous saying, the mind makes an incredible servant, but a lousy master. The master should always be your soul, should always be your heart. That should be what sets the foundation. But then the mind can come in, have coherence with the heart, and then use what it's good at to carry out the purpose of the soul. You know, you don't have this for no reason. You don't have those mechanisms in your brain, in your head, for no reason. They are there to follow the heart. The only issue is most people have the head leading with the heart, the soul, again, giving these intuitive nudges that the head will ignore if you make the head the master. And so when you're seeing 7-11 a lot, it usually means you're starting to come into a lot of heart mind coherence, which means, again, you are using these simultaneously and together as a team, which is how they are meant to function. Again, coming from the foundation of the heart, the foundation of the soul, and then using the capacity of your mind, the facilities, the faculties, I should say, of your mind, of your brain, to carry out your soul purpose in the physical world. You know, to use the strategies that resonate with your heart and to put them into action. Again, the soul, the heart is going to lead you in the direction you need to go. It's going to take you down the path. And then think of it like it's making you aware that you need to go down that path, and then you use the mind to move along that path. But you don't want to move along any old path. You want to be moving along the one that your heart is directing you down, that your soul is directing you down. And so for me, when I see this number, I'm reminded of my soul purpose. I'm reminded essentially that the purpose of my soul is growth, is evolution, is progress in a consciousness way. So to keep going up the consciousness scale, to keep raising my energy, to keep aligning with my soul, and then taking action. I'm reminded of heart, mind coherence, understanding that, yes, the brain is an incredibly powerful tool, but it should be guided by the heart. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you don't want to climb a mountain only to get to the top to realize you've climbed the wrong mountain. And that only happens when you climb a mountain only using your head, or climb a mountain because someone told you to climb that mountain and you ignored your heart. You want to climb the mountain, get to the top, and get there and realize that was the mountain you were meant to climb in the moment you climbed it, because your heart led you down that way. Now, at the end of the day, you never get to the top of the mountain. You're always in process, but you definitely can get to the top of a mountain, or be like up a mountain that you realize you shouldn't have been going up, and then look in the distance and be like, why is my heart resonating so much with that mountain? That's when you're making the mind the master. And so I'm always reminded of that. Now, this also, I'm going to get into some other meanings of this number. And a lot of times what you'll find with this number is it can be all encompassing with all of these meanings. Like, all of this can be happening simultaneously. A reminder to follow your soul and the purpose it's given you. A reminder that you are more than just a physical body, and that you have a soul purpose, and that your soul is trying to evolve and move up consciousness states. But it's also a reminder of how you can actually start to raise your consciousness. Because a lot of times when you see this number, you might be going through times of of trauma. You might be having all this trauma come up. Maybe it's a lot of anger, sadness, depression, hate, shame, or whatever else it is, these different emotions that are trapped in your body. And a lot of people, when this kind of stuff comes up, see it as a bad thing. But when you see this number and you're feeling these emotions, actually rejoice. See them as a blessing in disguise, because you have to understand, when it comes to your evolution, you have to release in order to go move upwards in the consciousness scale. Because these emotions, if they're in your body, if you're holding certain emotions in your body, they are weighing you down from a consciousness perspective. They're keeping you in a frequency of whatever those emotions are at. And things like fear, anger, shame, guilt, pride even, these kind of emotions hold you down from releasing you upward consciously on the consciousness scale into more emotions like love and happiness and acceptance and peace and joy and all of those emotions. You can think of it like this. It's like you're trying to float to the surface, and at the surface are all these emotions that you want to experience, but you have energetic anchors attached to your ankles. And those energetic anchors can be big, they can be small, depending on the power or level of emotion in your body. It could be anger, it could be sadness, it could be whatever it is. But you try and keep swimming upward to these emotions you want to be at, these feelings you want to be at, but you're never going to get there, no matter how much you struggle, until you let go of the anchors that are around your ankles. Now, the great thing is, you can always just reach down and let go of them. You can do the work to transcend those emotions, to transcend those traumas and everything else. It's not as if they're attached to the ankles and there's keys that you don't have in order to release those anchors. In fact, they're just tied by rope, and they're not even knotted too well. If you just went down there and gave them a little attention, released them and allowed them to go, they would easily fall off. And instead of trying to struggle your way higher up in consciousness, you would naturally float towards the top. You wouldn't even have to do anything. You would just float naturally as soon as you let go and release these anchors. Something I heard someone say once, I think it was Aaron Dowdy, but I've heard it from so many other people, is that your natural vibration, your natural energy consciousness, your natural energy consciousness level is high AF, he said. It is so high naturally. Your natural state is love. Your natural state is happiness and abundance and wealth. It isn't that you have to do things in order to get to these states. It's usually that you have to let go of certain things in order to naturally just move effortlessly into these states. It's usually because you're holding on and not letting go that you're not getting to these states. It's never like you need to add more things. It's typically you need to allow certain things to come up. And whenever you're feeling these emotions, when you're feeling anger, you're feeling sadness, you're feeling grief or shame or guilt or whatever it is, understand that you're only ever feeling it when it's on its way out. If you're feeling an emotion, allow it. And if you allow it to naturally go its own course without resisting it, it will leave on its own accord because it's on its way out. But you have to feel it on its way out. It's like if you've ever gone on a cleanse and you started to break out, or you started to have a few little bits of sickness, but then you just stuck with it and then it went away. Yeah, because those things they're in your body and have to be removed. And so if you just allow those things to naturally leave, you will find these energetic anchors will leave and you will float up naturally to these higher levels of consciousness. So when you're seeing this number, let it be a reminder that if you're in these feelings of anger, shame, guilt, or whatever else, that it's actually a blessing in disguise, because the lessons you will learn from just allowing these emotions, for just not looking at them as if you're being punished or as if life's unfair, but looking at them as an opportunity to grow instead, that you're just going to, again, raise your consciousness so easily and effortlessly if you can get behind that. You see, what you're starting to do when you're seeing this number 2 is you're starting to pierce the veil of forgetting. You are starting to remember and become aware more and more of who you truly are, of what you truly are. And when you remember what you truly are, that you naturally are, as Aaron Dowdy says, have a consciousness energetic level frequency that is high AF, at the frequency of love, at the frequency of happiness. When you realize that's what you are, it becomes so much easier to let go of these emotions that are not you. You are not the anger. You are not the depression. You are not the shame or guilt. These are simply things you have picked up energetically, but they are not you. They are just something you are holding on to. Think of it as like you're just holding on to a bunch of, again, we can call it anchors and weights, and they're attached to your body. You have this weight on your back and shoulders, and, these anchors weighing you down down. And as soon as you remove them, again, you will float up naturally. You can think of it like a helium balloon, and you're the helium balloon, and the helium balloon would just naturally rise if nothing was attached to it. But think of it as, again, having little weights, anger over here, and suffering and fear, and whatever else right here. But when the balloon realizes that it naturally can float if it just allows these things to leave, that these things are not what it is, these things are just things it's picked up, then the balloon will just naturally float away. It's gone. As soon as those weights are removed, it will keep raising higher and higher and higher until it reaches what its true natural state is. And that can be the same for you. And so this is another thing that I like to think of when I see this number. I remind myself of this, that holy crap, my energetic level is actually high AF. I love saying that. It's on that really high frequency naturally. My job isn't to gather more things to get there. My job is to get back into my natural state by allowing any of these emotions to come up, to understand that they're not me, to observe them, to allow them, to give them the space they need. To be seen, to shine the light on them. Because the reason they've been moving back into your body, into the dark corners, is because the light has not been shining on them. They cannot survive when the light shines on them. The anger, the fear, the guilt. When it is brought to the light, the truth will be revealed. The truth will be the thing that stands true and survives. And you will see, wow, actually the truth is I'm not this anger. The truth is I'm not this guilt. I'm not this shame. I'm not this trauma or this thing that happened to me in the past. And when you can do that, shine the light and allow it, it'll leave and you will naturally raise. So 711, again, is a number that will remind me of this, so that if I'm ever getting too involved with some of these emotions like anger, suffering, guilt, shame, fear, pride, whatever it is, to remind myself that, wait a second, my natural state is love. My natural state is wealth. My objective is not to get involved with these emotions. It's just to allow them, to observe them, to shine the light on them, and allow them to leave on their own accord. And they will leave pretty quickly when you actually leave them alone and don't attach to them. Now, there's one other thing. I know we're getting pretty long with this video, but there's one other thing that I find this number can represent. And there's a lot of other things you can research and find with this number, but this is another one that really ties into the emotional stuff. And it's just another way of saying it almost, but I think it's very powerful. And it's also, when you're seeing this number, it is a message from your angels, the universe, again, whatever label you want to give it, that it's time to let go of old belief systems, old stories that are no longer serving your soul, no longer serving your evolution, and it's time to start a new chapter, so to speak. Again, when you're removing these emotions, when you're allowing them just to be left, a lot of times we have old stories attached to certain emotions in our body. We have these old belief systems attached to certain emotions in our body. Have you ever noticed, for example, when you get angry, you kind of default into a certain belief system? Or when you get sad, you default into a certain belief system that it seems every time you get sad or angry or insert whatever emotion, that there seems to be this belief system that comes attached with it. Isn't that interesting? That when you feel this emotion, that it automatically brings up a certain belief or story that you've been telling yourself. And it seems to be the same every single time. When you get angry, maybe you have this belief system about a certain person is making you angry or something like that. Or when you feel guilty, maybe there's a certain story or belief system of something that happened in the past that you keep beating yourself up over. It's interesting that with these emotions, certain belief systems come up with them. And so when you start releasing those emotions, you will also start releasing those old belief patterns and old stories. And the thing to do is just allow them to leave so you can get back to your natural state, because a lot of people are afraid to let go of their old story. They're afraid to let go of their old belief patterns because they feel safe. Even if these belief patterns are not serving them, even if these old stories are not serving them, they're actually, again, they're putting more weights on their ankles that are weighing them down. Because they're familiar, a lot of people will hold on to them. They will resist change. They will resist lifting up, towards the surface, where again, all these emotions of what you truly are exist, because they're so used to this old story, these emotions that are a part of you. You're so scared of letting go of them because you think they are you. But understand, in the same way that these emotions trapped in your body, these traumas that are trapped in your body, that you just have to allow them to leave and they'll be gone, they are not you. It's the same with these old stories and old belief patterns. As soon as you accept that they are not you and you just allow them to run their course when they come up, and you separate yourself from them and see that it's not you, it's not what you truly are, you will allow them to leave. And so again, with this number 711, I'm reminded that I am moving into a new story, new belief patterns that support my evolution. My soul evolution, support me on my path, and that to just allow any old story that's no longer serving me on that journey to just come up, to have the light shine on it and allow it to leave. All right, guys, so I'm going to leave you there. I mean, there's so much more I could actually talk about when it comes to a lot of what this number represents. This is a really fun one. Again, you can do additional research and only really run with this if it resonates with you. Again, these are suggestions, these are interpretations, but they can be different for you. I'm giving you how I apply this in my life and how I see it, based on the research I've done with it, based on how it's appeared in my life and what's correlated with the research I've done. But it might be different for you. If something I say does not resonate with you, again, in your heart, then it may not be the part of it that's going to serve you or be applicable for you. You know, these numbers, like anything else showing up, are a tool. And what's actually going to reveal to you what your angels or what the universe is telling to you is what's resonating with you. This is your tool to tell you what the truth really is. And so I might say something and you go, I don't actually think that's what it represents in my life. And if you're feeling it from here, you're not overthinking it, and it's really coming from here, from your soul, then go with that intuition. But if it's the other way around and I say something and you go, holy crap, that's exactly what's been going on with me, that's exactly how it's felt to me, then I invite you to go with that as well. Anyway, guys, as always, I love you. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. We're going to have a few other angel number videos. I think next one is going to be the number 911, 911, which I have also seen a lot. When I first started it, I got a little worried because there's a negative connotation to that number for obvious reasons, but don't be dismayed. It's actually another really positive number. We're going to be getting into that one next time we make an angel video number, but I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.